so you can tell me when it comes up.
I don't know what. Oh,
Don't know?
you told me that something comes.
No, switch to the other tab. Switch to the other tab. Tell me when it comes up on the app.
This is wrong.
What's wrong?
Something's wrong. It didn't come up.
Live in 22 minutes. Okay. Why is this live in 22 minutes?
Yeah, it should be live now.
Here we go. All right. Had a little technical issue there. Let's see. Let me know when we're back up. Okay. You heard me?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Sorry, we had a little technical issue there. It's Gil Robles. We're back for another live stream, and like I said, we're going to go ahead and do Rebel again. And this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm just going to use whatever brush comes to mind. All right, so just in order to get my image, and I'm going to have the reference image on up in just a little bit. What I wanted to do was open up on the Rebel, the first thing that you see when you open up Rebel, just to go through that really quick. And I usually have the settings right here where you see it in my canvas. It's I don't know why it's 13.9, but I usually have it at 14.9 inches and no less than 300 dpi, and that's good enough for me. That you see on the selections there, it has print, so that would be the work that you do for print, for screen, and then it has a little thing for your favorites there, whatever you work on the most. So, and on the side here, on the button over here, you have canvas. Now you can select different things for the canvas. You can do the canvas color. You can select different colors, and you can play with the color. You can make it a little darker, a little warmer. You can go all over the place with this until you find what you like, and you can go ahead and select that. And so I changed the color and see what will come out of that. You could also choose on the left over here your texture. You can have a canvas texture, you can have watercolor paper, you can have a handmade paper, you can have hot press, machine made, rough, a simple white canvas, no texture at all. I'm not sure what this is. I've never used that, and I don't want to just open up the live stream if I don't know exactly what it is. So I'm going to select handmade. Now with this, you can also decide the texture, how much texture you want. If you wanted to have deckled edges are just like kind of like a rough rounded edges, like they were torn, and not not straight. So I kind of like that because it looks natural. And so I'm gonna click OK and see what we get, and click OK again. Oh, okay. Well, let me see what we have here. Okay, so that's what we get. Now the one thing I forgot about was my reference, but that's okay. I'll put that reference in. I'll just go here. Yes, and where I keep a whole bunch of reference that I eventually will use. And here's what I wanted to use for this painting. I just drop it right here in my reference image window, and it will come up. Yeah, the hourglass is there. There it goes. And so that will be our reference for today. This is a picture I took of my son. Yeah, that's good enough. And yeah, I figured we would use that as reference. And just to open up also, just hi everybody who's out there so far, and to reiterate, I am going to go ahead and use Rebel. And for this, what I did here, let me see if I could get a little bit more space here as far as the reference window, and close that up just a little bit more, so I get this much space to work in on the right. And this will be what we will be drawing. And so I hope you there at home, what you can do is take out some drawing paper, a pencil, watercolors, whatever medium you would like to work in. If you're working in digital, whether you're working on your computer or you're working on the tablet, great. Go ahead and open it. And you don't have to be using Rebel. You can use whatever program you have on your tablet or whatever. And I'm just going to show you. And for those using traditional media like pencil or watercolor, I work in a way digitally like I would in traditional media. I rely a lot on being able to draw and not playing around with a lot of the little technical side of the programs. So let me go right ahead and begin. Also, just to do a little house cleaning here, just in the beginning, I just want to say a few things with regards to the live stream. If you like the live stream, of course, you can hit the like button and so forth, and then that kind of helps us to grow the live stream. And then also there is super chat if you guys want to donate or help out with the live streams. We definitely want to grow these live streams. The last one was really great, really fun. Oh, really important, let me just say my wife Karen is here with me, so say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Enjoying the live stream with us. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play around with the brushes. So you're going to catch me using different brushes. Think of this kind of like as a mixed media session. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and use the pencil just to get my drawing down. So let me make this a little thicker. All I want to do is get placement. And the reason why I'm using digital, I know I'm thinking about placement. I should be thinking about structure. I should be thinking about both, actually. The reason why I'm using digital, or we switched over to digital, is because for our equipment that we have right now, we really don't have the setup to do really decent traditional media. Like I would love to draw in pencil, on paper, or to work in watercolors and gouache and so forth. But the problem is that because it's so hard to see with the equipment that we have, and it's so hard to get any quality. Okay, so this is a third from here to the eyebrow. Say that's from the top of the head to where the hair starts to the brows. That's a measurement that I'll use as third. So I'll take that and kind of use another third to indicate where the nose goes, and then use another third to indicate where the chin is. So I get my measurement of the head. So, and then I can go ahead .
Okay, Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know that two are on
Okay.
our live stream now. Tiny Manny
Hello.
says hi.
Hi.
Hi. And Jeff Burns said hi.
Oh,
he,
okay.
he thought you were in Painter.
Painter?
Yeah.
Oh,
are you
you-
familiar with that? Painter?
I've not too familiar as far as using Painter, but no, we're using I mean, I've heard of Painter. I might have used it. You're talking about Corel? If you're talking about Corel Painter, I've used it many years ago. Many years ago. And it is a great program. So. But this is Rebel. And this is Rebel 4. And they just went through an update. I'm not sure what they updated. I guess they did one behind the other recently, so I guess there was some bugs that they had to fix with this last update. So.
Okay. Well, Jeff said yeah.
Okay, and it did sound familiar. It's been years since I used it, and I remember it being a great program. However, one of the reasons why I like Rebel is it does mimic traditional media very well, and it does it simply. You know, it's not too difficult. You don't have to go through a lot of tweaks to get the brush to do what you want it to do. You know, so I kind of, and it's not expensive.
You talking about Rebel?
I'm talking about Rebel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not expensive. Rebel is not a expensive medium to use, software to use. So
Okay.
that's kind of what I liked about it.
Well, Tiny Manny had said, I don't know if he means Rebel. He says, which treble are you using?
Which what?
Treble?
Treble? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I'm thinking he might mean Rebel. Which Rebel are you using?
Which Rebel? Oh, which Rebel? This is Rebel 4. This is the latest one. And his hair is something else. My wife and I were talking about his hair today. I was talking about if my mom was around, she would be chasing after him with a pair of scissors.
And my mother would faint.
Well, and to be fair, my mom was chasing me with a pair of scissors when I was young, so I'm just using, I went and used over here on the left, you see under the sliders for the pencil brush, there's a blender that I use. I like to use the blender that, and instead of the eraser, because I like to have, you know, it can be dirty. I don't want to get rid of all the lines, all the construction lines. I can use them, you know, and now it's important as much as I try to be accurate with my drawing. I'm not going to be. I accept the fact that I'm going to have to make changes, but I try to be as accurate as I can. Now, one of the great things also is that you can use the background color, and I try to. I'm not always successful at this. I lose it in the work, but you can try to use the background color as a color or as a value, you know, in constructing your image. So there. Okay. So I gotta remember to slow down again. I'm not trying to finish it too fast. And I shouldn't be in a hurry to mess it up.
Okay. What Tiny Manny want to know, how much practice do you do in a day?
Okay. I basically practice as much as I can. I try to do no less than 5 hours of drawing or painting. Um, and then, you know what, I spend a lot of time also looking at work and studying art, from the books that I have, from watching videos of about artists and by artists that I like and so forth. Because it's just like that. There's a continuation of learning that goes on. That's part of the process of growing. You're always looking around you, looking at what other artists are doing, learning from them. As much as as one of the things my teachers used to tell me, and you see it as the hallmark of a good teacher, is that they learn as much from their students as their students learn from them. There's a kind of give and take, you know. So whether that means that the student kind of refreshes some of the things that teacher might remember from their time in art school, or the student might bring some new vision to the more accomplished artist. But nonetheless, everybody's point of view has value. So, but in answer to your question, I spend a lot of time, and I enjoy a lot of time where I practice. Now the hair is a big shape, and then there's a lot of going on in the hair, so the first thing, usually, a student would get distracted by just all the things, all the little things that are going on that are not necessary to be concerned about right now. What's more important is actually the shape of the thing. To try and get it as close to the shape that you see, and then you can figure, you can bring everything down to the little incidental things later on. You can cut back into it, you can reshape it, but you got to have the shape down before you can play with it. It's kind of like a sculptor. A sculptor just keeps throwing slabs of clay and shaping it, taking it out again, reshaping it, and until finally what he wants is the result of all of that. Okay.
Okay, well, Mr. Vic says hello.
Hey, Mr. Vic.
Mr. Vic, Okay. Now, if I'm correct, from Mexico, right, Mr. Vic? Yeah. And Tiny Manny, he says, I'm learning fundamental now. Can you give some tips?
That's a broad thing. Fundamentals. Uh, the thing. Hmm. It's not a bad question. It's just how do you answer a broad question, because there's so much that goes into fundamentals. The best thing is to just keep whatever you learn, practice and practice often. Practice often. I like, fundamentals. It just can mean a lot of things to different people. If you're talking about fundamentals of drawing, fundamentals of painting, uh, um, and then it just depends on how the person you're learning from is showing you their what those fundamentals are. For me, all right, I would start with if you're drawing people, which is what I do. So I can tell you from the point of view of the things that I do, and I like drawing people. I like drawing faces. I like drawing portraits, and so important things for me to get would be things like the construction of the head, if you're drawing figures, the construction of the figure. So you want to learn, you know, learn anatomy. Things like Bridgman book is a great place for anatomy. Things like Loomis. I know there's books written by Loomis that have been re-released in past few years about drawing the head and so forth, and I think those books are excellent. As a matter of fact, I showed it last week, and I'll show it this week again, and that's Drawing Head and Hands. That's by Andrew Loomis. So, and it's a good book for learning basic things. Especially the construction of the head and so forth. Let me bring this drawing down so I have space for all of that here.
Okay, well, you were just showing your books, right?
Yeah.
And this is a good time to talk about what Mr. Vic asked. He said last time he asked about art books.
Okay.
And so his question, how do you study or use them to get better?
Okay. Good question. Good question. Well, you know what? One of the things is that you start with the obvious. You look at the pictures, you copy the pictures. But you copy not for the sake of copying, you copy to learn the pictures. You make copies of it, and it's a fundamental way of learning how to draw. I mean, Michelangelo, right? As a teenager, Michelangelo would cut school, whatever school they had back then, and he would go to some of these churches that were these frescoes were in, and he made copies after the artist had worked on those frescoes. There was I forget, there was one Italian master that he really liked at the time. I forget what the guy's name was, but and those drawings still exist where Michelangelo, made copies of the drawings in that church, and those drawings still exist today, and you'll see it if you buy a book on Michelangelo. You will see it in his early drawings. They'll showcase them because they were very accomplished drawings. He made very careful observations. As a matter of fact, even though Michelangelo and Leonardo was very competitive, they knew each other, they didn't like each other, and they were very competitive, but they respected each other. And Leonardo made some copies after Michelangelo, while Michelangelo wasn't looking, but So copying, reading, copying, understanding what it is the author is trying to show you, and those Loomis books are great for that because it's very clear. For years, while I was a student, one of the books that were very popular on anatomy were the books by George Bridgman. George Bridgman was a great teacher. He was a great anatomy artist, but those books were very difficult to learn from because they were basically not put together by him, but by his students, and to show what he taught in his class, right? Now, so they were not really art lessons in and of themselves, but if you were doing life drawing and you understood, you can understand those drawings in reference to the model, you get a better picture of what he was trying to do. So they're kind of hard for the student to understand. It kind of takes a while to unravel, but Loomis's books are different. Loomis explains what he does in a very, very clear way. So let me just add another layer. So Loomis is a good person to learn from.
Okay, well, Maritza sends a big hug from Colombia.
Oh, cool.
And as you were talking about books, she asks if there's anything you want to recommend to us. So maybe you want to show the book again that you showed just a minute ago. Yeah, you were talking about Loomis.
Yeah, let me go ahead. Let me just kind of figure this drawing out. I'll take it out in a minute. And what I'll do is after this live stream is over, I will leave. Go ahead and leave some links to some books that I would recommend.
Oh,
That would include the Loomis book and whatever other books. I know I don't want to disparage anybody about the George Bridgman books because they are good. They just they take a little bit of deciphering to get something out of them, but artists, illustrators like Norman Rockwell was a student of George Bridgman, and it had helped him tremendously. And there are bits and pieces of advice that he can give you, but not Loomis, George Bridgman. I think I said George Loomis, but George Bridgman. Let me just. There is George Bridgman. This is Andrew Loomis. I'm sorry. I'm and this is Andrew Loomis's book. It's called Drawing the Head and Hands, right? And it's let me see if I don't know if you can see. It has some diagrams there. He has writing, and he has examples of drawing, and but if I can find something that that would be of value to you, so that you can see what it is that I'm talking about. He has some diagrams about how to do the head. Right there. Let's see, and this is great right here. You might find this on the internet, this particular page, because he shows you how he breaks down the structure of the head, and that is something that's been used a lot. I'm just trying to see what else I have here. That this would be something more advanced and requires a lot of reading, but this is the Classical Drawing Atelier by Juliet Aristides, and this involves a lot of great examples on drawing, from old master drawings to contemporary artists, and her explaining like what you would learn in an atelier. right? And then let me just see. There's some examples of the types of drawing that they did. Let me see. I'm trying to find a good one for you here.
Okay, well, before you put that book back, make sure to show the cover
Yeah.
so they know what the cover looks like.
Now, this one, I want to make sure that I'm a little bit careful with this one because, as you can see by the cover, it contains nude drawings, and YouTube is funny with that, right? And social media is funny with that. Here's a copy after, I think this is a Raphael drawing, a copy by a student. And one of the things that they would do in art schools is copy, drawings by master artists, and to, like I said at the beginning, to learn from them. So that was a student copying from Raphael. Oh, did I show the cover of the book?
No, you didn't.
I didn't. You told me to show the cover of that book.
So they would know what to.
Okay.
And
That's
I'll
Classical Drawing Atelier by Juliet Aristides. Okay? And I'm hoping I pronounced her name right.
Yes, okay, I see it.
Okay. So right now.
Okay, well, Jeff Burns said he just followed you on ArtStation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Cool. I gotta pay more attention to ArtStation. It's not one of those platforms that I've been around a lot. Like I do more on these other platforms, especially here on YouTube, on my Patreon, Instagram. There's a few things, but I like going on ArtStation because there's so much neat stuff there. Like a lot of terrific artists. Okay, so don't want to get too carried away with the hair because the hair I can always come back to later. But I need to figure the hair out for the sake of measurement. Okay. So, all right. Let me lower this.
Okay, well, Maritza said thank you.
You are more than welcome.
Uh-huh.
And so let me start in with a bit of color here. Now, like I said, I just want to play with these brushes. I usually use Rebel 4 and use the oil brush mostly, use the watercolor brush occasionally, use the pencil brush a lot. Occasionally I use the pastel brush. So I'm kind of want to just play with the brushes when it comes to this. And that way, if you're not familiar with Rebel, you get a good idea of what it can do in terms of the different brushes. So I'm going to do the watercolor brush. I'm working a big size. I'm going to lower the opacity of the particular brush. Oh, this is on okay. And I am going to load a lot of water, right? And so I just want to kind of tint this. Want to kind of find like a middle color to put on there. Now, there's two things I can do with the watercolor brush. Two ways I can go ahead and straightforward. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead straightforward. Just put the colors on there, and wait a little while. And as you can see, it starts to drip down the page. And you can stop it if you go over here on the layers on the right. You see these little wavy lines over here. You can stop that. Okay, and so it'll stop the dripping. I don't want to do that just yet. So let me clear this layer, And I can also pause diffusion. That means that it will not drip right away until I hit that again. So that'll give me some control of the color here, the watercolor that I'm using. So let me do that. Let me select another color for the hair, just to deepen the color here. Now, what I'm going to do is, after I uncheck that pause button, if it drips a little bit, I'm not going to be so concerned. I just want to get something on here that I can begin to play with. And I left it, the layer, this particular layer, if you look at the right, if you look at the slider for the layers over here, on the opacity, I kind of slid it like halfway, so that it gives me a little time to play with it. Okay. So, and I know I didn't put the glasses yet. The glasses I can worry about lastly. Okay, so I'm ready to let this go, and you can't see it too much, but that's about all I wanted to do. Let me
Speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's about all I wanted to do. I'm mumbling a little bit. Okay, so that's good enough. Let me open up another layer and play a little bit more. Maybe I'll add a touch more red. Now, when you add a touch more red, you can go to the square over here and select how much of that red you want to show, how much of the gray you want to show. So how much of the color, how much you want it to be the color, how much you want it to be about the gray. So I find that if I pick somewhere in between that, the gray, it gets a bit cooler. So
well, we have someone from the Daily Drawer. Do you know what that is?
No,
the
I don't.
Daily
No,
Drawer?
no.
Oh, okay. And the person is asking, what software are you using?
Oh, okay. This is Rebel. I'm using Rebel 4. And what I decided to do with this software today is just basically just play with different brushes. I'm not going to exhibit any one brush. I'm going to play with the different brushes that Rebel has to see what I can come up with as far as the final image. So we haven't heard from Kumar. So
yeah,
Kumar,
I was wondering about that.
if you ever look at this later on, know that we were thinking about you. Okay, so so now what I want to do is make the brush a little bit smaller so I can get more refinement. And I'm going to undo the diffuse. Wait a minute to let it just drip a little bit. I don't want to let it go too far. Because it's kind of fun to see like the watercolor runs start developing lines about around it like an actual watercolor. Okay, so I'm gonna I merged the layer on top. I'm opening up a new layer now, and working with the color here. Bigger brush. Let let the color drip a little bit. And I can also, if I'm not happy with some areas the way it wound up, I can always go back with the blender right over here underneath the sliders for the watercolor and just kind of play around with it, mold it, a bit, soften it. We'll just mush it around if that's the case. And let's try a different brush. Let's try let me add, let's see what the pastel brush will do, right? So this is fun. So you got, I haven't used these in a little while, and it's been months since I really played with these. Let me start with the round soft, right? And so I got my layer here. I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit. And oops, that's too much. That's too small. I can also lower the opacity on the pastel brush. And let's see. Okay, just a little too. It's certainly a way to get darker faster, and as well as draw a little bit. I'm just gonna see these. The collar and everything is a big shape for right now. I'll worry about getting the details in later on. feel like I'm kind of losing it a little bit. But not too much so that I can't get it back. You lower the opacity on this layer. Alright, so what can I do with this now, right? I can go back into the watercolor brush, and this time I'm not going to try and control it so much. I'm going to let some of these drips play into what I'm doing.
You were saying that you want the paint to drip some, but it seems like you're going for the shading in your painting from your reference. You know, especially the forehead and around the eyes and his right cheek.
Right.
You know, because you see the, I think you would call it value. You
Right.
know, but you see the way that it hits his face and the cause of shadow there. Yeah. So it seems to me that you're trying to emphasize that. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I would go for that first, because it's still about, you know, whether you're dripping the paint or not, you're still trying to do that thing where you're drawing from what the artists say, like from the big to the little.
Okay.
And you for that you would use the go for the large shades of dark and light. So I'm trying to find those things first. I find that the texture is bugging me a little bit, so I can always go back, select the canvas, and just lower the texture. Also, over here in watercolor behavior, there's a, let me just go right on the bottom. Over here, you have the watercolor behavior, right? And what I can do is there's a slider right here for the texture influence. I can lessen that. And so you see less, now you see less of the texture. Now, when I finish the painting, if I want to reintroduce that after the painting's done, I can still do that by messing around with the sliders till I get something that I like. But I don't like it right now as I'm painting, so I will take it off. I want to see more of what's happening with the color. So what I'm going to do again is go for a thinner, smaller brush size. And go back to try and re-emphasize some of the drawing. I switched back to the pencil brush. Like I said, I feel like I need to reestablish some of the drawing. Some of it got away from me. And I just also want to say one of the things I want to do, I want to start doing this as we do these live streams. I am going to, I have a Dropbox account, and so what I'm going to do is actually put an high-res image in my Dropbox account, and then when I'm done with the live stream, I'll just leave a link to it so that you guys can go ahead and download, you know, the whatever work that I've done today. So hopefully this won't be a stinker. But
That's a good idea.
yeah, I'm going to. I think I kind of like where it's heading. You know, I have an idea of what I wanted to finish as. And I like the idea of using all of the brushes that I can. You know, it'd be only, you can only do this in digital media. It'd be a hard thing to use watercolor and oil brushes at the same time. You can use some of these other media with it, like watercolor and pastel, of course, watercolor and pencil. But you know, to add that that watercolor, and I want to kind of beef up some of the color here with with an impasto look, and see how that looks. That is fun. So I'm trying to build to that. So I'm going ahead and, like I said, just reestablishing the drawing here. And by drawing, I mean like looking at some of the shapes, not just the lines, but the shape, how those lines contribute to these shapes. Okay, so let me go back into the watercolor now. I'll take this layer and merge it with the layer below. Okay. I try not to have too many layers because even though whatchamacallit, Rebel did a good job with improving their software so that it doesn't slow your computer down. I still don't want to have a lot of layers open that might potentially slow my computer down.
Well, just out of curiosity, what does having different layers do? Is it building on foundation on top of foundation, or?
Kind of. Having different like a layer is kind of like having a tracing paper over the work underneath. Like I have a layer over here, then I open up another layer, and it's like kind of having a piece of tracing paper where you can make corrections until you're satisfied with it, and then you merge the layer.
Oh, okay. That was an excellent choice to use this brush because it's so detailed. It's really taking shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, with the layer, I can go back and either darken or lighten the image according to, whatever it is I feel like the particular area needs.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to let loose, let the paint drip just a little bit. Again, I'm going to merge the layer, and I think like on his cheek, on his left, it's a little cooler, so I want to throw in a little bit of blue, but I want to make sure when I do it that the layer is the opacity is decreased, and so it just gives a hint of the blue. And it's not too much. Actually, there's a little bit of purple with that blue. Because I remember that right next to him on this side was a monitor.
Okay.
So it'll pick up the blue from the monitor screen. So, and then with that, now on this layer, what I'm doing is I'm just adding some color adjustments. Like if I think that, like I said, this area is cooler, I add a little bit of that purple to give it that cool feeling. This area might have a little bit more of a purplish red on this side. So let me go ahead and do that. I know I got to go back into that ear because that ear is getting lost in there, but I can make an adjustment there. And so I'm not afraid to use a big brush because I'm not worried about details here. I'm more concerned about the big look of the bigger planes, the big lights and darks and values. There's a point when you start the painting where it all looks hard. And there's a point that you reach where it starts to feel fun. And it's getting to that for me right now. Okay, so I'll let that go. Let me see, I'm gonna again merge the layer. And also, when you look at the Rebelle, you not only have watercolor brushes, you have all this underneath. You have spatter brushes, you have sumi brushes, you have gouache brushes, which when I open this other layer, let's see what the gouache brushes will do. Alright, I'm going to do a gouache filter brush. Now I'm going to lower the opacity on the layer and start messing around here. Okay, it just feels a little bit more opaque. I think it will still drip. Yeah, it is dripping. And let me put a halt to that right now. Slow the diffusion so that, but it's kind of nice that it starts to take on the properties of gouache and become more opaque. And gouache is a medium that I really love a lot. We started the live streams painting in gouache. We probably would have done some more, but like I said, it's very hard to do traditional media. Because of the camera equipment that we have, we're very limited. Which reminds me, hey, look, if you like what you coming to this live stream and you want to go ahead and support us in terms of what we do, there's several ways. We have the super chat. If you guys have a question and you guys want to contribute something to us in the super chat, there's that. There's the emojis that are there, and also if you look below, there's a link to my Patreon page, and I have a page where on Patreon I share more images, more videos, as well as a monthly sketchbook. So those are just some ways that you could help us out here as we build our channel. We want to do so much more with this. We are just limited as far as with what we have, but everybody starts from somewhere, right? and it's really fun doing this. It really is. I'm not just having fun painting. My wife is having fun, right?
I am, and I'm learning a lot about art.
And you know what? She is great as a spouse who really supports someone who's you know, into his art, who's creative. She's been a great supporter. So if you guys have questions for her regarding that, you know, you guys might have a significant other who's not an artist, and you know, you want her opinion on things, you know, about how to share with you know, how to share your views, your art, your vision, and so forth with, you know, with your significant other. She's just a great person to ask questions like that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kel.
There, see the glasses I can kind of sneak up on, you know. I just indicated here and there. I'm not sure how much of an indication I'm going to put for the glasses, because I don't need the whole thing. I just need enough to tell me that, hey, this guy's wearing glasses.
You know, you talk about the glasses, but the shading shows it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it emphasizes. Well, I don't know if you would use that
Yeah,
word, but
yeah,
yeah.
that exactly the kind of word I would use, because I'm trying, you know, I'm trying to let other things tell the story, because obviously that the shadow, the glasses are making shadows on his face,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's also giving you an indication that the you know, the glasses are there.
Right.
Okay, so let me. Merge that. Now I'm pretty happy with that. So I merged it, opened up another layer, to get a little bit more red in his lower lip. Yeah, that works out good. Oh, that kind of that red kind of dripped.
Yeah, I was wondering if you saw that from the lips.
No,
right?
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you can use that to your advantage.
You know, I see you have an eye for color, because not until you added that tinge of blue on his left side that I realized that, oh, that is the monitor reflecting from his face, you know.
Yeah. You know, I see it on the photograph, and I figured that's, you know, I'm remembering that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Let me go ahead and put in some color for the background here. You can work on, I can work on the silhouette of the hair. See, I can work back in and out of the hair. It makes it pop more. Okay, now I can let the paint diffuse a little bit. I gotta kind of wait to let the paint do what it's, or the color do what it's going to do. So, and you want to let it do that because it'll look more like, less like digital and more like the medium that, you know, that it's trying to pretend to be. Back to shaping this. You know, it's funny, I haven't used the oil brushes yet. But I really have not explored these gouache brushes either, so I'm giving these some time as well. I think that what didn't work was, and I think I covered over them, were when I was using the pastel brushes. That didn't work too well, but that's okay. That's what this is for. To experiment, to play, to try new things.
You know, it's really coming out well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just want you to know what I see on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's so much easier to see the digital art on the screen than well, like I said, because of the camera equipment setup we have, we really couldn't see the the traditional stuff. Not as well as you can see this.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of like what happened with that layer. Um, it really looks a lot like watercolor. To back to watercolor, and this is a large, you can tell by the circle, a large brush. Just darken some of the colors there. And drip a little bit. That's good enough. Some layers, you know, I don't have to do a whole lot with. I just want to touch up one or two things, merge it, and then go ahead and open up another layer. Okay, I'm going to go back into the gouache filbert brush, and this time I'm going to increase the opacity. And see what I can get out of this brush. Oh. Let me go ahead and diffuse the brush before I start using it. So, one of the things, if you're out there and you're you're painting along, let us know what particular medium you're using or what program you're using. I'd just be interested in knowing. This is kind of the part where it begins to become more and more fun.
It becomes more and more fun for you?
Yeah. Mm.
I think what I'm amazed at is that you are truly picking up what's on the reference photo, but that this actually does look like the person I live with, and believe me, I know that really looks like him.
Okay, so I'm gonna let it diffuse a bit here, and I'm going to help it out a little bit more by using this blender.
Well, Jeff Burns says he's working mostly in Sketchbook, but he's starting to use Painter more.
Oh, okay.
He says the brush engine is pretty good.
Yes, I like Sketchbook a lot. Also, I think Sketchbook is a great program. You know, I think what turned me on to Sketchbook was when I saw like a lot of I collect books and all kinds of art. I have an interest in just a lot of things, and one of the art books I was collecting was on you know, when Disney does the animation, I like looking at the stuff that the production drawings, and I noticed a lot of the production drawings were done in, you know, recently in recent years in digital, and one of the favorite softwares was Sketchbook. So I started picking it up, started exploring, especially there's another artist, I don't know if he's still on YouTube, but he had a very popular YouTube channel, and that was Steven Silver. And I used to watch him a lot, and he also used a lot of Sketchbook. And I thought it was neat. And so I you know, this was years ago, and so I started using Sketchbook because I saw all the good stuff that was done with it. I would still be using it, and I still do use it. I've used it for illustration work, but you know, I don't get what I get from programs like this in terms of the brushes. And Painter does have excellent brushes. That are similar. Okay, all right. Well, this is going good. Let me try and hit it with some oil brushes. Let's see what happens, right? So I'm going to select this color, and let me see. I'll do flat bristle, and let's see what happens. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm going to do the rough dry, right? You want to do it? Okay. Yeah, you see, you pick up some of the impasto from brush, which I think is kind of interesting. This is one of the reasons why I like this brush so much, is because of the impasto look of the brush. Now I know the hair, the silhouette of the hair, isn't exactly what's on the photograph. I'm not letting that bother me so much. It's always something that I can continue to play with. But this is not a portrait of his hair. So it's not as big of a deal. You know, if you go to museums, like I was a regular museum goer, especially in my high school years, my high school and college years. And one of the things that I would do here in New York City was go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And, you know, I would look at the Rembrandts. One of the things that I noticed, and that, you know, teacher had pointed out, was that Rembrandt didn't worry too much about, you know, details that didn't matter in the painting. Like if it's too dark, take that out. So you can't use an eraser on oil paint in real life. Let me see. Let me open up another layer to do this. Like when Rembrandt painted things, he had a self-portrait in the Metropolitan Museum that I would love to go look at. And in that self-portrait, he had a hat on. But that hat was not, he didn't paint the hat necessarily. He gave an indication of the hat. And the hat was basically a dark shape. Because the painting, and it didn't bother you, you would recognize, yeah, he has a hat on. But the painting wasn't about the hat. The painting was about his face. So the hat wasn't a distraction, you know. And it looked perfectly fine. You wouldn't notice until you really examined that he really didn't paint that hat in. So I'm liking this. The oil brush is adding some texture to this, and it's making it look interesting. So, what do you think? We've been on long enough?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally up to you. You know what? You had just mentioned that the artist did not paint the hat but gave an indication. That's to say that you're giving an indication about the hair, or
yeah,
are you making that correlation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand why you said that.
I'm not worried about the hair not being exact.
Okay.
I'm just, you know, it's more the hair gives an indication that, you know, you can look at it and say, okay, he has hair. There's a lot of it, you know, but it's not important to draw, you know, to get it so correct.
Okay.
You know, it's like the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Oh, okay.
You know, the idea being that, you know what, the trees are interesting, but the trees are only part of the forest.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to merge the layer now, add another layer. This one I'm going to leave full strength, And I'm just going to indicate the shirt.
Then
Okay, I'm going to end this stream in just a few, but I want to remind everyone that one, we'll be back next week with another live stream, and two, I'm going to make this painting available as what you might call it, a high-res image on my Dropbox. I'm going to, when I'm done with this this live stream, I'm going to put the link below. I'm also, because people asked in the beginning about books, I'm going to look for links for books if you're interested, like the Loomis books and so forth, that you can, that you can purchase if you want. They are great books. I'll say that.
well, before we go, I just want to say that Maritza says thank you for providing this learning space, and that she's an art student and really appreciate that you're sharing your time, experience, and knowledge.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for coming along. We're here every Saturday, okay, for you to paint along, to ask questions, and to enjoy this time. All right.
Yes.
So thank you for participating.
Yes, thank you, Maritza. And to all our viewers, Mr. Vic, Mr. Burns, the Daily Draw, thank you.
Yeah.
And I can't forget Tiny Manny.
And Kumar. We haven't heard from Kumar
Yeah.
today, but
No.
that's okay. We missed you, buddy.
Yeah. Was looking for you. Hope you're doing well, Kumar.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So let me just add one more thing. One more thing. And that's, let me, just fun to put some highlights in here.
Okay, well, Jeff Burns says, thanks for sharing, and he'll be looking for you in the future.
Okay, great, Jeff. Hopefully we will see you. We will. Okay, just again, just touching up with some highlights here and there. I just sounded like what's that? What was that? Bob Ross. Just some little highlights here and there. Maybe a little highlight lives here. He was a great guy.
You have one more thing 4 things ago.
Yeah.
No, but I'm enjoying this, please. I'm enjoying this.
Alright, and it started as a watercolor. It ended more as an oil painting. But I did say I was just going to mess around with the brushes. And so I've got to go because it is my turn to cook dinner. So, and as you can see, I didn't have to indicate. Well, I just gave an indication of the glasses. Like the painting wasn't about the glasses. The painting wasn't about his hair. The painting was about his face and just what an interesting character he is. trying to get his personality. What do you think? Is that his personality?
Yes, that is. And
That's Mama. That's Mama. This is our son Joshua. All right. So listen. Thank you so much. Again, we'll be here next Saturday. We're going to do something new, or maybe something we did, but just it'll be a new image. And again, you'll be able to draw along with us. I will definitely be using software. Maybe I'll use Rebel again. Maybe I'll use something else. But it will be fun. And so come join us. And as well, there's links below. There's links to my Patreon page. There are, if you want to support this channel, I'm going to have a link to this image in a little while. It won't be there right away, but it'll be a little while. So you can download a high-res version of this image, to keep for yourself. And we're going to start doing that every stream, by the way. And so that'll be it. There's some more links. There'll be links to the books that you asked for in the stream. There will be links to some of my sketchbooks. Again, just different ways you can support us, support this channel. All right. So thank you, and we will see you again next week. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.